Hello viewers, welcome to your channel Pharmacypedia. This is Dr. Shikha Chauhan, and in this session, in continuation to our series on biostatistics and research methodology, we are going to learn about the graphs. The topic has been taken from BPharm 8th semester Biostatistics Unit 3. So if you have still not subscribed to my channel Pharmacypedia, please do like, share and subscribe to Pharmacypedia for getting further updates and important content related to pharmacy. So I welcome you all and let us begin the session. So in the graphs, we are going to basically discuss about 5 graphs. First is the histogram that you must have already studied in your 12th class, and pie charts. Then we are going to learn about cubic graphs, response surface plots and counter plot graphs. So first let us brush up what are histograms. So histograms are basically the bar sort of the graph which provides you the accurate representation of the distribution of the data. So in statistics we have several data and we need to categorize the data, we need to interpret and analyze the data. So it basically shows the continuous data in the form of the columns, you can see. So it is same as the line graph but it is represented as a column. So hereby we actually have the adequate numbers, intervals whereby we do classify the data. Now how to construct this histogram? Again, this is very simple. We first divide the entire range of the data, entire range of the values into a series of intervals and then count how many values do actually fall within that particular interval. So these bins are usually specified as a consecutive, non-overlapping intervals of a variable. So the bins must be adjacent and are often of equal sizes. So my dear students, you must have all constructed histograms in your below +2 levels and in your 12th classes, because like in statistics, the histogram, frequency, data, all these are, and this is very easy to construct. So it actually provides you the information, it actually represents the information in the form of a column, in the form of a graph. So this is the most common ways by which it is being represented. The main difference in the histogram and the bar chart is that there are no gaps in the histogram, but whereas in the bar chart, you can have the sufficient gaps which are being there. Then another sort of the example is like you can see the weight of 30 newborn babies in a nursery. So you can see the columns clearly on the at y-axis, you can see the frequencies being plotted with the interval of 2, 0 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 6, like that. Then next is the second part of the graph is the pie chart. Now pie chart, all of you must have constructed also in your earlier classes. It is a circular form of the graph and hereby the data is presented through this circular graph. So the slices or the parts of the pie basically show the relative sizes of the data. So again, it is a pictorial sort of the representation, and in statistics, it is very easy to construct whereby you can get a lot of information by the help of these pie charts. They require a list of the category variables and the numerical variables. So here the term pie represents the whole. Pie means the circular path and the slices represents the parts of that whole. So you can see 360-degree circular path is there, and then you categorize, you calculate out the degree for each of your slices. Again, it is very easy to construct. So the pie charts are also known as the circle charts, and it actually divides the circular statistical graphics into the sectors or the slices. So in order to illustrate your numerical problems. So each sector basically represents that proportionate part of that whole 360-degree. The formula is very simple. You have to actually calculate out the percentage first and then once you calculate the percent, you calculate out the degree and the slices of each degree in that particular 360-degree. So again, the following steps are there, like categorization of the data, calculation of the total, division of the categories, conversion into percentages, and finally calculation of the degrees. Because since the pie chart formula is given by the given data divided by the total value of the data into 360-degree. So this is the way by which you actually calculate out the degree for each of your slices. Moving on to our next graph, that is known as the cubic graphs. Now, what are these cubic graphs? Cubic graphs are widely used for in mathematical analysis. So in mathematical field of the graph theory, cubic graphs are basically the graphs in which all the vertices have degree 3. So in other words, a cubic graph is basically a three regular graph. Cubic graphs are also called as the trivalent graphs, or a bicubic graph is a cubic bipartite graph. So they're usually represented in the sort of these vertices in the form of cubical graphs or Peterson groups or Hayward graph. So depending upon the type of the degrees, so most probably all the vertices have a degree of 3. All the vertices, this is again very important. If you notice at each point of the time, there are only 3 degrees are there. So cubic graphs are known as the trivalent graphs. Moving on next to our fourth type of the graph, which is the response surface plot. My dear students, nowadays these are widely used in analysis and interpretation of your research studies. So when we have these experimental research studies, these responsive plots give us an idea and the pictorial representation of data in a very different way, by which you can analyze the different variables, different types of the factors simultaneously in a single graph. So response surface plots such as contours and surface plots are widely useful for establishing response values and operating conditions. So if I give you, for example, under different temperature conditions or different pressure condition, what is the strength of the material, what is the status of your product. So in a similar way, under different conditions, different environmental conditions, different procedural method, you can through this pictorial representation, you through the help of these response surface plot. Response surface simply means you're getting that sort of the response on that surface. So it is in a counter plot, the response surface is actually viewed as a two-dimensional plane where all the points have the same response and which are connected to produce the counter line. So you can see many colored counter lines or fine lines are there, which actually represents the responses. So when we are exposing our, for example, our drug substance through different factors, different environmental conditions, different pressure conditions, and we are actually viewing the product and we are observing the changes, all those different variations can be recorded and analyzed through the help of these response surface plot. So final view, the final outcome will be represented as a response. So it is one of the most commonly used experimental designs for the optimization, and in brief it is known as RSM. So because it allows evaluating the effects of multiple factors and their interactions as one or more response variables. So my dear students, when we do the experimental studies, we take into account several factors. We actually analyze the effect of one factor on the another or other factor on the third one. So when we have multiple factors, it becomes very difficult to represent it through a single graph. So if we present the data, we have the responses of the several factors, multiple factors in a single graph, which is recorded as a response. We can easily analyze it in the form of response surface plots. So you can see how beautiful the plots are like that, and you can have several information through the, like in the first one you can see the cholesterol concentration, phospholipid concentration, and how much is the drug release. So through these counter plots, it's very easy to analyze in a two-dimensional plane. And it gives you multiple variable factor responses through a single graph. In the another one, you can see the response surface plot, which shows the interaction effects of the nature and the fermentation type on the protease production. So on one side, you have the different temperature conditions, and on another side, you have the fermentation time, and you can see the behavior of the substance through a 2D plane. And the last one is the counter plot graphs. My dear students, you can see how beautiful it is looking out. These counter plots have different color ranges. It is on a single plane, and these counters are put up with the different labels. So the intensities and the variation of color represents the different information. X-axis represents a different information. Y-axis have a different variable, and the color intensities and the difference in the color actually represents different sorts of the information. So in simple way, you can say counter plots are a way to show a three-dimensional surface on a two-dimensional plane. Very important, it is on a two-dimensional plane, whereby if you remember the response surface curve, it was in the form of a three-dimensional representation. So it graphs two vector variables such as on the x-axis and one on the y-axis, and response variable is recorded as a z as a contours. So these contours are sometimes called the z slices or the isoresponse values. So this type of graph is widely used in cartography, where counter lines on the topological map actually indicates elevations are the same. So my dear students, you have one variable on x-axis, you have another variable on the y-axis, and you record the response in terms of variable z, which is represented through your different color intensities. So this type of the graphs are widely used in astrology, in meteorology, and in physics. So these lines commonly show the altitude, sometimes like height of a geographical feature, or they can also be used to show the densities, brightness, or electric potential. So when we talk about these topographical maps, they are drawn from the three-dimensional data. So one variable is represented on the horizontal axis, another variable is represented through the vertical axis, and these plots are often useful in data analysis, especially when you are searching for the minims and the maxims in a set of trivariate data. So when you have to construct these counter plots, you have to construct it from three variables: x-axis, y-axis, and your responses in the form of z. So variable z is represented by a color gradient. So different sorts of the color with the different intensities gives you the responses information. So note that all these three variables must be numeric in nature. So this was all about the graph. Thank you so much for watching the video. In my subsequent video, I will be talking about the research methodology. So if you have still not subscribed to my channel, Pharmacypedia, please do like, share, and subscribe to Pharmacypedia for getting further updates and important content related to pharmacy. Thank you so much once again. Stay tuned, stay happy.